All right, everybody, how's it going? It is Friday, December 20th, 2024, and of course, we're about to enter the week 16 of the NFL. Well, we really just had a game where the Chargers beat the Broncos and really kind of sent the AFC wildcard race into kind of chaos mode. But yeah, we're about to start week 16 of the playoffs. We have two big games tomorrow between the Steelers and the Ravens, and then the Texans at the Chiefs. So those are two big games on Saturday that kind of have major playoff implications for the rest of the AFC. And of course, in the NFC, you have a lot of big games this weekend. Lions play the Bears, Vikings have their game, Eagles play a clinching game. So we'll get it overall, like the specific scenarios in just a little bit. As you can see, I have two windows pulled up, right? We have the specific scenarios, and we also have like, hey, these are all the playoff spots. What's open, who's in, who's not in. As you can see, these 7 teams have clinched their spots. The Chiefs won the AFC West. The Bills won the AFC East. Steelers are clinched, but they haven't won the division yet. That could happen this weekend, depending on the outcome of their game. And the Texans have won the AFC South. So they're kind of just in this for the seeding, I suppose, playing spoiler, trying to mess up the 1 seed. And then, of course, in the NFC, no one's won a division yet, and the Eagles are the only ones right now that can clinch a division. NFC West is super tight, NFC North is super tight, and the AFC North is also super tight. But before we get specifically more into like what we're going to talk about, make sure you drop a like on the video. Make sure you leave us, leave a comment with what you think of like the playoff races, who gets in, who gets out. What do you think's going to happen? Like, what do you just think? What do you think about the playoff race? It's pretty solid this year, actually. Especially in the NFC, all these really good 12-2 teams kind of fighting for the 1 seed. Let me know what you think. Make sure you leave a like. Both those things really help the video out, make it do better, and subscribe if you haven't already. That's helpful too. But anyway, yeah, this is a pretty good one. Like we said, the Chiefs could win the 1 seed this weekend with a win. The Steelers could clinch, the Eagles could clinch, and then if the Lions could win, they could set up a clinch if the Seahawks beat upset the Vikings, which isn't very likely. Still, I think it's interesting to look at like what's going on in the hunt for the NFC. Of course, you have the Bucks, who are probably going to win their division as long as they just kind of keep winning, and the Falcons and everybody keep kind of making mistakes. So they have a pretty good shot here of just kind of rolling on through, keeping winning. They don't have any scenarios this weekend, I believe. The Rams took first place from the Seahawks when they won this weekend, and the Seahawks winded up losing. So they're kind of like in this spot where I think if the Rams wind up winning again and the Seahawks win again, it stays the same. However, if the Commanders lose, then all of a sudden the Seahawks can be in play for the 7 seed right here. And then, that's kind of chaos opens up. The Packers are pretty safe at 10-4. As are the Vikings right now at 12. And you know what I mean? There's a couple of very safe teams, and I believe the Packers have a playoff clinching scenario this weekend where they can get in. So again, there are a couple teams that are pretty safe, like the Bucks, the Packers, who feel really safe as far as like their standings in the playoffs goes. But the Rams, Commanders, and Seahawks feels a little shaky, as well as the Falcons. And I don't really see the Cardinals unless we have a collapse by a couple teams. But hey, you never know. And then, of course, in the AFC, you have just 3 teams that are in the hunt because most of the AFC has been eliminated. Get rid of that. But yeah, so you look at like there's like a really weird media thing going on with like a fascination of Cincinnati for some reason, where they're like, Cincinnati could still make the playoffs at 6-8, and it's like they're literally the 10 seed. And with the way that everything broke down last night, it's kind of one of those things where if like the Chargers and Broncos both win next week, they pretty much clinched. Like that's it. That's the end of these teams. These teams can't win 10 games. The best they could all do is 9-8. So it's literally like if any of these 3 teams lose, they're out. If any of these two teams, if these 2 teams win next week, they both clinch their playoff spots, and the Chargers play the Patriots. So they're probably getting in next week. And then that just leaves the Broncos who do the Broncos play next? Schedule. The Bengals next week. So you know what I mean? And it's like, wow, they get the Bengals. That's not a super tough game for a team that can score points. You know what I mean? So the Broncos have a good shot at winning. And they could just straight up eliminate the Bengals. Now, if they wind up winning, then everything gets thrown into chaos. The Bengals are suddenly on the play. But also, so would be the Colts if they won, and the Dolphins if they win too. You know what I mean? It's like no one's saying anything about the Colts. But they're talking about the Bengals like they got a shot. But again, the Colts, because of whatever. Oh, I guess the Broncos would be over them, and I think the Broncos also. But either way, just like it's confusing why it's just the Cincinnati Bengals that are getting all the love here. These teams are all basically out. Even if they win, it's 11%, 9%, 11%. I don't know why we're giving those guys so much love. Anyway, I think that's enough time talking about this, about how the playoff picture kind of looks right now. Kind of head over to the playoff week 16 playoff clinching scenarios for this year. All right, so as we said, the 3 divisions that are clinched are already done. Those are the only times, and the Steelers have a playoff berth but no division yet. The Kansas City Chiefs have a playoff clinching scenario. They can take the AFC 1 seed, the lone first round bye, and home field advantage with a win and a Buffalo loss, or if the Bills tie, or if Kansas City ties and Buffalo loses. So if KC wins and Buffalo loses or ties, KC wins the division. If KC ties their game, then Buffalo loses to the Patriots. Then, the Bills get the 1 seed. That would be very funny if the Bills were to lose this game to the Patriots, dressed up in their best Patriot mock uniforms. Would be funny. It would be funny. Pittsburgh Steelers play. The Pittsburgh Steelers have their playoff clinching scenario. They win the AFC North with the win. If they can beat the Ravens, they win the division. Pretty simple, straight up. The Ravens clinch a playoff berth with a win, or if they tie the Steelers. So if they beat the Steelers or they tie them, they're in the playoffs. Or they have the Miami loss or tie and an Indy loss or tie. So if the Dolphins and the Colts both lose, then the Ravens make the playoffs. Or if they tie. Broncos had a playoff clinching spot, but they failed to win. But they have another scenario. If Miami, Cincinnati, and Indy all lose or tie, then they get in. So like we were kind of saying, it's like one game and like all these teams could be eliminated in one thing. If they all lose this weekend to the, 49ers, or I think they play the 49ers. They're not likely to lose the Bengals. Most likely these 2 guys won't lose this weekend. But who the hell is Miami playing? Is it? Yeah, Cleveland and So, all right, the Chargers. They can clinch a playoff spot, but they need Miami now to lose or tie and Indy to lose or tie, and they can get in. All right, so in the NFC, we have 3 teams that have clinched, no divisions, though. The Eagles, though, can clinch the division here with a win over the Commanders. Just one situation, they win, and they get the division. If they lose, then somehow the Commanders could still win the division, I suppose. The Green Bay Packers can clinch a playoff berth with the following situations. If they win, they're in. So all Green Bay has to do is beat the Saints, and they're in the playoffs in some degree. Or they can make it with an Atlanta losing or tying, and with either the Rams or Seahawks losing or tying. So the Packers could make the playoffs without even anything, with no impact of what they do in this week. If the Falcons lose and the Rams or Seattle lose or tie. So quite a few spots. And Washington has the final playoff clinching scenario this weekend. They can make the playoffs, the old Commanders. That would be quite the turnaround for Dan Quinn and company. Surprising he's not getting like any coach of the year talk compared to like Kevin O'Connell or Dan Campbell, but whatever. They can clinch a playoff spot with. They have kind of a complicated set of scenarios. They have to win, and Atlanta and the Rams have to lose or tie, or Seattle has to lose or tie. So basically, if Washington wins, Atlanta loses or ties, and either the Rams or the Seahawks lose or tie, Washington makes the playoffs. Or if Washington ties, Atlanta loses, Arizona loses or ties, the Rams loses or tie, and Seattle loses or tie, as long as the Rams and Seattle both don't tie. That could be, I hope it's this third scenario just because it's the most convoluted horseshit, and that means we'd have 1, 2, and maybe a third tie. We're all rooting for that scenario for the 3 ties to make the playoffs for the Commanders, just because it would be funny. And then the Rams lose. Seattle ties the Vikings. No. The Rams tie and the Jets. Seattle straight up just loses, and the Seahawks tie, or the Cardinals and Atlanta ties. Hell yeah, dude. All right, but that's about that. That's the playoff scenarios for this weekend. That's how things are looking for the playoffs as we enter week 16. Let me know what you think down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Leave a like, yada yada, all the YouTube mumbo jumbo, subscribe, blah blah blah. Help channel make bigger video, blah blah, more views, more monies, more big YouTube. Yeah. Alrighty though. I appreciate everyone watching. Hopefully you have a good rest of the week, good weekend, happy holiday, Merry Christmas, whatever you happen to celebrate, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah. What other holidays we got? Whatever whatever weird pagan thing you might do. I'm not judging, you know, it's fucking, you know, it's, you do you. It's 2024. I don't, you know, have a good one. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas and peace out. Bye-bye.